$1,000. So that arithmetic is very simple. The carpenter who builds the home cannot afford to buy the home. And I saw this not as a statistic, but as a real-life story when I was in a Northern Ontario Tim Hortons last summer and literally met a young carpenter who said he lives in his car because his rent rose faster than his income and he couldn't afford to pay it, and so he's living in a parking lot.
Today, we're covering an urgent development in Canadian politics. As tensions continue to rise in Ottawa, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has made a bold, direct plea to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. It's a statement that could have significant implications for the future of Canadian governance, and we're breaking it all down for you right here, right now. For those who might not be familiar, Pierre Poilievre has become one of the most prominent and outspoken figures in Canadian politics. Known for his strong criticism of the Liberal government, particularly the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Poilievre's recent remarks mark a major moment in the current political landscape. But what exactly did he say, and why is it causing such a stir? Let's dive in. But first, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. To understand the significance of Poilievre's plea, we need to look at the broader context of Canadian politics. Justin Trudeau has been in power since 2015, and over that time, his leadership has sparked both passionate support and fierce opposition. Under Trudeau's government, Canada has seen a range of policies aimed at addressing climate change, healthcare, Indigenous rights, and more. However, many of these policies, particularly the carbon tax and various economic measures, have been heavily criticized by the opposition, including Polievre and the Conservative Party. Poilievre has consistently called out the Trudeau administration for what he perceives as ineffective leadership, mismanagement of the economy, and failure to address the concerns of everyday Canadians. He's especially vocal about the rising cost of living, inflation, and housing affordability, issues that have dominated the political conversation in recent months. With many Canadians struggling to make ends meet, Poilievre's criticism of Trudeau's economic policies has resonated with a significant portion of the electorate. But it's not just about criticizing Trudeau's policies. Poilievre has also raised concerns about the broader direction of Canada's political culture under Trudeau's leadership.
Look at comparison. Seattle's housing costs are about 30% lower than Vancouver's, even though Seattle workers make.
In his recent remarks, Poilievre framed his plea as an urgent call to action, a plea for Trudeau to change course, take responsibility for the challenges facing Canada, and start listening to the concerns of Canadians rather than clinging to outdated ideological positions. This message has struck a chord with many who feel that Trudeau has become increasingly disconnected from the realities faced by ordinary people. So, what exactly did Poilievre say in his plea to the Prime Minister? In a direct address to Trudeau, Poilievre asked for a change in approach on several key issues, but his message was clear. If the Trudeau government wants to regain the trust of the Canadian people, it needs to make real, tangible changes. Here are the main points of Poilievre's plea. First, Poilievre called on Trudeau to address the growing cost of living crisis in Canada. For months, inflation has been eating away at Canadians' purchasing power, and many families are struggling to afford basic necessities like groceries and gas. Poilievre pointed to rising prices as one of the most pressing issues facing the country, particularly for the middle class. He urged Trudeau to reverse policies that he believes are exacerbating inflation, including the carbon tax, and focus on measures that will reduce the financial burden on families. Second, Poilievre demanded action on housing affordability. The housing crisis in Canada is at a breaking point, with skyrocketing home prices and rents making it nearly impossible for young people and low-income families to get into the market. Poilievre's plea included a call for increased investment in affordable housing, changes to zoning laws, and measures that would help Canadians find more affordable housing options in their communities. He also emphasized the need to curb the speculative real estate practices that have contributed to the housing bubble, something that has become a growing concern among Canadian voters. Another key element of Poilievre's plea was a call for a more transparent and accountable government. Throughout his speech, Poilievre criticized what he sees as a lack of transparency in Trudeau's government, particularly when it comes to decision-making and accountability for government spending. Poilievre pointed to high levels of government debt, ongoing wasteful spending, and the handling of various scandals, such as the WE charity controversy and the handling of the SNC-Lavalin affair. He demanded that Trudeau take responsibility for the issues facing the government and act in the best interests of Canadians rather than prioritizing political survival. Additionally, Poilievre called for a more effective approach to addressing the climate crisis. While Poilievre is known for his opposition to many of Trudeau's environmental policies, particularly the carbon tax, he also acknowledged the importance of taking meaningful action on climate change. However, his plea was framed around finding solutions that balance environmental concerns with the economic realities facing Canadians. He urged Trudeau to focus on innovations that could reduce emissions without imposing a financial burden on ordinary Canadians. Lastly, Poilievre's plea included a call for unity in the country. Poilievre expressed concern about the increasing polarization in Canadian politics and society, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. He argued that Trudeau's leadership has exacerbated divisions in the country, particularly between urban and rural communities, and between different cultural and economic groups. Poilievre called for a more inclusive approach to governance, one that would bring Canadians together rather than divide them along ideological lines. Now, the question on many people's minds is, will Justin Trudeau respond to Poilievre's plea, and if so, how? To understand the potential implications of this plea, we need to consider the dynamics of Canadian politics. Trudeau has been facing increasing pressure from both the opposition and segments of the public who feel disillusioned with his leadership. While he remains a popular figure in certain circles, his approval ratings have taken a hit in recent years, and Poilievre's leadership of the Conservative Party has gained traction. In recent polls, Poilievre has emerged as a formidable challenger to Trudeau, with many Canadians expressing support for his vision of economic growth, lower taxes, and more pragmatic approaches to governance. His message has resonated particularly well with those who feel that Trudeau has become too entrenched in ideological battles and disconnected from the concerns of everyday citizens.
Help him get elected rather than actually solve the challenges that Canadians are facing, where we're stepping up to deliver on dental care, on school foods, on initiatives.
However, Trudeau is no stranger to political challenges, and he has always maintained a strong ability to navigate through difficult times. He is likely to respond to Poilievre's plea with a counter-narrative that emphasizes his government's accomplishments, particularly in areas like healthcare, climate change, and social justice. Trudeau may also argue that Poilievre's policies would worsen the very issues he is calling for action on, particularly with regard to inflation and the cost of living. One thing is for certain, Poilievre's plea will add fuel to the already heated political battle between the Conservatives and the Liberals. As both leaders vie for the support of Canadian voters, this plea could become a turning point in the ongoing rivalry between the two parties. The political landscape in Canada is evolving, and this exchange may very well shape the direction of the next federal election. To conclude, Pierre Poilievre's plea to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is a significant moment in Canadian politics. It represents not just a call for change, but a direct challenge to Trudeau's leadership. Whether or not Trudeau will heed Poilievre's call remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: the political temperature in Canada is rising, and the coming months could be crucial for both leaders as they seek to shape the future of the country. Thank you for watching our coverage on this developing story. Stay tuned for more updates on this ongoing political saga, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications on our latest videos. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.